What's going on? What's going on, everybody? It is Will here from the Only Sports Podcast. That's right, the Only Sports Podcast. How we doing? How we doing? It is a solo show to me because Casino and I most likely will be doing a show either tomorrow or Friday. We will finish our predictions of every NFL division. I believe the only one we have left is the AFC South. So we will either do that tomorrow or Friday. However, today it's solo show, solo will, how everybody likes it. But Casino, I believe, is getting his teeth cleaned, which, again, why he would schedule that exactly when we do the podcast, I don't know. You have to ask Casino. But let me take a drink of my tea. I am also under the weather, as you can hear if you've listened to every other episode. My nose is stuffy, my throat hurts, I'm getting sick. It's that damn thing where your kid goes back to school the first month of this school year and you just catch every sickness imaginable. Also, my barber has been booked up for 2 weeks, so I'm getting my hair's longer for 2 weeks than it usually is. So it's not going well, is what I'm saying. But today I was like, solo show. I don't want to mess up because being casino scheduled like 2 months out, right? So I was like, I don't want to mess up the schedule. I don't want to do something we already had planned. Plus, it's better to talk to somebody. Do I have a sty on my eye? No. It's better to talk to somebody when we're predicting stuff. So I thought when I was doing the solo show, when I would just do it by myself, what things can I do or did I do that showed that I don't necessarily need casino for. And what I came up with, as you can guess from the title, is we're going to do the first official Super Bowl bubble. Last year I did this, and it was basically every team in the bubble that can legitimately win the Super Bowl. So we're going to do a quick show today, quick Super Bowl bubble. I'll put the show right up and then we'll see you either tomorrow or Sunday to do the AFC South. So, or I could spend uh 20 minutes talking about, you know, Adam Thielen going back to the Vikings, but I don't think that's or I mean, Casino and I were talking about it. Casino legitimately thought I was serious when I said we need to spend 45 minutes talking about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelsey. He was like, "Are you serious? We're going to talk about it that long?" I was like, "Do you legitimately think me of all people would be like, yeah, let's talk about Travis Kelsey and Taylor Swift's engagement for 45 minutes?" Like, no, no. But what we are here to talk about is, if I can, okay, pretend I just said that now. What we are here to talk about is the Super Bowl bubble. So last year, the Super Bowl bubble ended on, whoops, if I can just pull it up. This is what the last Super Bowl bubble was at the end of last year. So, did I have it as a bubble? No. I should have pulled this up earlier, but we're just learning on the fly right now. Oh, I did not have it saved. So I have to. All right, please. This is why we do a live version. This will all be cut out in the video. But, and you know what? We're going to build it right here. So I'm literally just going to show uh, whoop, on the screen. Pew, pew. So this is what we ended last season of the show. Oops. That is what we had right there. I don't if I can do that. Yeah. So this is what we had for the Super Bowl bubble. This is what is it? What we did the last version of it, right? So we had, and I believe this was, I wish I knew, but it was before the playoffs started. So these were the teams that were obviously the little bubbles on the outside are the teams that are, if stuff goes right for them, you could see those teams in the Super Bowl last year. This year, these four, I think I might actually change. So let's first make the case for, are the Lions legitimately a Super Bowl contending team? I don't think so. Again, I think just as an Eagles fan, just going through the painful, nature that was oh, can I just do this? There you go. Going through the painful nature of what was losing both coordinators after going to a Super Bowl, again, that really affects a team a lot more than I think people realize. So, I think as of right now, and I'm gonna build this off camera, and then we're gonna reveal it at the end with the reasonings and all that kind of stuff. So, I think right now, I don't have the Lions as in that Super Bowl bubble. And this basically means like if the season started and ended tomorrow, who do you think legitimately would be in the Super Bowl? Right? So, right now, I think I'm replacing the Lions with the Ravens, right? Like the Ravens, again, I feel like all these Super Bowl bubble teams that legit have a shot outside of, everybody just going, oh, the Eagles are going to repeat because suddenly they have a super team. I also promised myself I would not just turn this into an Eagles rant. So you've heard enough of those. You'll hear more when we do season predictions next week. So yeah, I think when you look at the Baltimore Ravens, I think you can make the case right now that they have the best roster, the best quarterback. Again, I'm not saying they do. I'm saying you can make the argument. Also, I just realized I'm wearing this shirt that on my sleeve it got all messed up from the washer. So that's nice. But you can make the argument right now that the Ravens legitimately have the best roster in the NFL, the best quarterback. Now, you might disagree, but again, I'm just saying you can make the argument. You can make the argument Lamar Jackson is the best quarterback in the league, just like you can make the case that Mahomes is. You can make the case that Josh Allen is. Again, it really comes down to you can make the case that Hurts is, but it really comes down to the case of how you want to argue that point. You want to argue Super Bowls, obviously it's Mahomes. You want to argue just raw talent, I think it's Lamar Jackson. You want to argue not having a bunch of stuff around him and kind of elevating his team to be better just because he's on the field, you say Josh Allen. You want to say just playing his best games in the biggest moments, then it is Jalen Hurts. So, and then obviously Burrow, you just say that team is basically a dumpster fire everywhere but him, and somehow he's carrying that team to 9 wins every year when they have one of the worst defenses in the league. They have awful offensive line. So those five guys really, if you want to throw Herbert in here, there's nothing that you could say about Herbert to put him in that discussion. You can say he puts up really good numbers, like, okay, I don't know. Again, my Herbert hate has really been exposed on this podcast because but again, I've never heard the argument to why Herbert is good, but we will not talk about Herbert right now. So Ravens finished 12-5 last year. They obviously lost too. Let me look it up. Oh yeah, it says the Bills in the divisional round. I think honestly, I think this year it flips. I could easily see the Ravens beating the Bills, AFC Championship game. Again, I also made this graphic that's called Defend Your Take, which I'm gonna have Casino defend his take because if you're not following us on Instagram or our YouTube shorts, that's where all the comments, all the arguments, all the discussions are happening. And one of the ones, most of them are just funny and like by delusional Cowboys or Dolphins fans, but there is a funny contingent where Casino, I feel like, just says things like they are fact that everybody agrees with, and then everybody just goes, wait, what are you talking about? And then like everybody just starts going after Casino. So there is going to be a new segment on next episode with Casino and I, again, either Thursday or Friday, that is called Defend Your Take. And it is going to be his Chiefs will miss the playoffs take. Because again, I am not a Chiefs fan, but I'm also not delusional. Like, I don't know how you look at this Chiefs team that had 15 wins last year and think they missed the playoffs. So, right now, I don't even think you have to make an argument. The four teams that are in the Super Bowl bubble are Ravens, Chiefs, Bills, Eagles. I think before we see a game played, those are the obvious four, right? Now the fun part comes into there's two more spots in the main bubble. At most, you can have 6 teams in the bubble only because that's how many fits in the bubble without it looking weird. Then you can have 6 teams on the outlier that you just put there where it's like, "Oh, maybe their bubble could come into the other bubble and they could join." So, I will put we talked about the Chargers. I will put the Chargers in one of those. I'll keep them in one of those little bubbles on the outside. Again, because I like their coach, because everybody else on the planet likes their quarterback. Their defense was good last year. I think again that Amarian Hampton, the running back they added in the draft this offseason. Yeah. I just think with Harbaugh, the way he likes to just play smash mouth defense, now he's going to have that 1-2 back that's just going to wear you down. And then Herbert making smart decisions during the regular season and not turning over the ball a lot. I think that's a team that, again, their ceiling is who knows. Their floor, that's a 10-win team. Like their floor is 10 wins, right? I don't think you can what is it? I don't think you can look at them and be like, "Oh yeah, they're going to be bad." Same with the Chiefs. The Chiefs were 15-2 last year. Like how Casino thinks they fall off to the extent where they lose 6 more games and miss the playoffs. Like again, it's asinine. It's dumb. Now, stick it in the AFC West. Again, I think the Raiders are going to be much better than they were last year. They were 4-13. I could see them being an 8-win team, and maybe a month in the season, everybody's starting to go like, could the Raiders make the playoffs? I don't think they do, but I think they'll be in the discussion the last month of the season, which will be a huge improvement for the Raiders, who haven't really been relevant since the 2000s. Had a couple okay years with Carr there, but yeah, so I don't think the Raiders are a team we're going to put in the Super Bowl bubbles. I do think the other team in the AFC West that we can put in the bubble is the Denver Broncos, right? I think, again, on paper, the Denver Broncos, you're looking at them just going, oh, the Broncos legitimately are going to have one of the best defenses of the league. If Bo Nix can somehow avoid the sophomore slump, he is a guy who threw 29 touchdowns last year, which is the most by a rookie ever outside of who we just talked about, Justin Herbert. So, yeah, I just think, again, Bo Nix is one of those guys where we don't talk about because all the focus is on Caleb Williams. All the focus is on 3 other quarterbacks in his own division, right? Like everybody's like talking about Geno Smith. The Raiders just got Kenny Pickett, so now he's being talked about. Everybody always obviously talks about Mahomes. Everybody talks about Herbert, and then he's kind of the guy in that fourth discussion now with Kenny Pickett being in the news, the fifth discussion for quarterback in that own division. And then the AFC, then you also talk, you obviously got to talk about Allen and Lamar and Burrow. And it's just one of those things where he just gets left out. But I do think the Denver Broncos, you have to put them not in the main bubble, but on one of the bubbles out on the side. Now, just sticking with the teams that are in these outside bubbles, because I don't know if we're actually no. Let's stay in the AFC. So in the AFC, let's move to the AFC East. Outside of the Dolphins, Jets, Patriots, again, Jets, I think are just the Jets. I don't see them. I see them being a slightly better team than they were with Rodgers last year, but that's only because Justin Fields can run. But the thing Justin Fields can't do is pass, if you've heard or read any of the news coming out of training camp. So I think Jets will be slightly improved, but they're out. Dolphins, again, go check out our shorts and our TikTok. Dolphins fans are not only, I would say, delusional, but also very salty, very sassy, dare I say, about people doubting their team that last year went 8-9 and they have an injury prone quarterback who, if he gets injured one more time, it takes one more hit, will most likely have to retire. So it's again, they lost almost everybody on defense. Who they added doesn't really do anything for me personally. Their coach is by most metrics and by most experts in this field, trust me, I'm not one of them. I just read what they wrote. He's the one that's on the hot seat as the first coach to be fired. So again, you put all those factors together, and then it's just like Dolphins fans are like, we were 8-9 last year. This year we're a playoff team. It's like, by how? How are you a playoff team? Well, when Tua's out there, we win. Yeah, but he's also not out there a lot, which is why you lose. Like, I don't know. Patriots again. Casino thinks they're a playoff team, but I don't think they're a I think they are a playoff team. I could see them doubling their wins. Last year they were 4, kind of like the Raiders, where I feel like they're going to be 9 wins last couple weeks of the season and just be like they need one more to get in, or they need the right dominoes to fall to get in. And will it happen? I don't know. We'll do our final predictions a week from today. But sorry, that was my gross nose again. I'm fighting through some things over here, guys. But in as far as the AFC East goes, I could see the Patriots in the playoffs. Jets and Dolphins, I can't. Bills obviously are in the main bubble, so nobody else in that is going in the Super Bowl bubble. AFC West, we just did Broncos, Chargers, Chiefs, all in various Super Bowl bubbles. AFC North. Now, this is the one I just wanted to talk about because last year had the Steelers in the outside of the little bubble. So if we can pull that up again, uh, oops, nope, wrong one. If we can pull that up again, yeah. So Steelers again were right here. So do they stay there? Do they stay in there? I don't know. Again, by every metric, they just have what is it? Kind of gotten that was a weird noise. I think it was my washer. They have gotten better? Question mark. Is Russell Wilson right now better or worse than Aaron Rodgers? Like as I take a sip of my tea, let's think about that. I don't know. Again, the Steelers last year were 10-7. If they went 9-8, would anybody be shocked? I feel like the only way people would be shocked with the Steelers is if they were like 12-5. Then everybody would be like, if they were like 12-5 or 5-12, those would be the only way people would be shocked about the Steelers team. So I think we kind of got to leave them there. I think again in that division, they were 10-7 last year. They've only gotten better, and their quarterback move was at least lateral, right? It's like, is Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, I feel like they're on the same playing level right now. Rodgers is more careful with the football, maybe a little bit too careful, but the Steelers running back room might be better this year. I don't know. They got DK Metcalf, switched him out for George Pickens. Again, to me, that just feels lateral. It doesn't, I'm not a huge Pickens guy. I've never been a huge Metcalf guy. Again, Metcalf looks like how you want your NFL wide receivers to look like, but we did this when he was traded on the show or when he signed or whatever. But you look at his stats, and his stats are just nothing to write home about. Like, you think the way he looks and the way he's built, you expect his numbers to be more godly than they are. But yeah, so I just think again, all their quote unquote upgrades in the offseason were kind of just lateral moves. So I think you have to keep the Steelers kind of where they are because they didn't get worse. They didn't get worse. Now, here's going to be a controversial one. The Bengals. Are the Bengals one of the top 6? Because obviously they're not in the middle Super Bowl bubble, right? They're not in the main Super Bowl bubble because that defense, nobody's going to win a Super Bowl with that bad of a defense. But are they one of the 6 teams on the outliers? So for the 6 teams, we have Broncos, Steelers, Chargers at the moment. Do we put the Bengals? I'm sorry. I just, again, Trey Hendrickson, we'll talk about this uh with Casino either Thursday or tomorrow. I should probably figure that out before I keep saying that. But yeah, I just think with the addition of Trey Hendrickson, they got the first round pick finally signed. Well, not the addition. I mean, the addition of the draft pick. They kept Trey Hendrickson, signed that weird extension where they just basically doubled his money, right? We'll talk about that on the show. But yeah, I don't know. 9-8 is people are really banking on this new defensive coordinator to just right this ship, and all of a sudden this Bengals defense again, all they need is a top 16 defense. That's my cutoff. You just need to have middle of the road defense. So will they? Uh, do I think again, let me look at the NFC. The NFC, uh okay, you know what? Let's put a pin in the Bengals. We will put a pin in the Bengals. They are one of the ones that might make the cut, might not. Browns, obviously, no, they're going to be one of the worst teams in the league. Texans, Colts, Jaguars, Titans. Casino and I were actually, when we had our phone call earlier, we're just talking about this. Where I got CJ Stroud in my fantasy football draft, I got him like the second to last round. How the bloom has fallen off the rose for CJ Stroud in such a short period of time blows my mind. His rookie year, people were talking about him like they talk about Jaden Daniels now, where it's like, oh, this is the next best quarterback in the NFL, like bar none. Let's put him in the top 5 of every quarterbacking category. And then all of a sudden, now he's getting drafted in the last round of fantasy picks and or fantasy drafts, and people are like, "Oh yeah, the Texans are going to win that division because it's so bad." But like blah blah. Does everybody forget that almost his entire offense was injured last year? Like he was, I feel like he was thrown to like fifth, sixth, and seventh string wide receivers at the end of the season. And again, they still finished 10-7, mostly due to them just being in a piss poor division. But I have no faith in the Colts, especially with Daniel Jones lead the way. Them being 8-9 last year feels like a miracle. I think they're going to be worse or right there where they're just going to be. Obviously you can't go 500 anymore, but 8-9 feels like kind of where their ceiling is with that team. Jaguars 4-13. I have no faith in this team whatsoever. I don't know when we finally, as a football community, give up on Trevor Lawrence, but I don't know. He has another 4-13 season. Maybe that's finally the nail in his coffin. And then Titans, I actually feel like Titans are going to be much better than they're being projected to be. I like Cam Ward. I like what I've seen from him. I liked him in college. I liked him coming out. And I also think there is kind of that chip on your shoulder mentality where it's just like, oh yeah, nobody is talking about Cam Ward. The third string rookie quarterback on the Browns is getting 10 times as much publicity as the number one quarterback taken in this last year's NFL draft. Like, I think that does kind of light a fire under him. And I don't think he'll have, a Jaden Daniels or, as we were just talking about, CJ Stroud type season. But I do think he is going to, again, this might be my third team I'm picking to double their wins. I would take Titans to finish over Jaguars right now. Uh, and be closer definitely to the Colts and the Texans and the Jags. So yeah, I just like that I just like that the Titans and Panthers I feel like are the hills I'm willing to die on this year. I could be completely wrong and that's okay. That is also what I do not understand about our comments section. Now I know the comments aren't real and if you watch this and enjoy the show, thank you. But the comments are always just like, "Oh man, you're going to eat your words when the Cowboys and the Dolphins like get to the playoffs." And it's just like, no, I won't. I'll just say I was wrong. Like, who cares? There's not been one single person ever who's picked everything right in anything. Like, or else we would know about them. Like everyone's wrong all the time about everything. Like, who cares? We're just doing this to be entertainment. I don't care if I'm what is it, right about everything. I'd like to be right about some things. Last year I was right about the Super Bowl matchup in the preseason. So that didn't get me anything. People were like, one guy was like, "Oh, good job for predicting that." Like, that's it. Who cares? I don't even remember what Casino Super Bowl pick was. I just know it was wrong. Who cares? So that's what I'm saying. If I'm wrong about all this, who cares? Everybody's wrong about everything. I don't think I can put the Texans there though. I don't think they have a legit shot at going to there's not a scenario where it's all of a sudden I see the Texans in the Super Bowl. I think you can make a case where Chargers, everything goes right. Herbert is who everyone says he is. They're all of a sudden in the Super Bowl, and everybody's like, oh my gosh. I could see a scenario where Aaron Rodgers, the last kind of draw the gunslinger, write that down, great name. Last draw the gunslinger, one final, push, and all of a sudden they're in the Super Bowl, and it's like this huge, story, blah, blah, blah. I could see the Broncos just as a preseason favorite, just being what everybody thinks they're going to be. Top 5 offense, top 5 defense, great head coach, kind of shock everybody in their division and the AFC number one seed win two playoff games, they're in. Now, I don't see uh these are outliers because they're on the outside bubble. But again, the outside bubble just means could you see it? With these three teams in the AFC, I could see it. Texans, I can't see it. So they're not in the bubble. So the teams from the AFC we have are Chiefs, Ravens, Bills, obviously in the big bubbles. Outside bubbles, Steelers, Chargers, Broncos, which means no one from that group, nobody new is in the bubble in the middle. Now, NFC, again, we start with the Eagles already in that. I think again, if they are right now my pick to go to the Super Bowl and repeat as Super Bowl champions. But again, we won't know what this team is until the season starts. I just think the things they lost on defense are being greatly overvalued in what those pieces brought to the team last year. Again, yeah, I am so glad the Eagles did not give Milton Williams $100 million. I'm sorry, Casinos Patriots did, but again, I just do not think that was a move. I wish we would have kept Slay because I think what he signed for with the Steelers would have been a thing. I would have been completely fine with him running it back for one more year and kind of us trying to find us, as in the Eagles, trying to find a cornerback two and not just, two corners, one who plays on the outside, one who plays in the slot. So I would have loved to see Slay come back. But again, Slay is also up there. And if this is the year he falls off, I would have hated to see it as an Eagles fan. So, hey, all the other young pieces, I really like Campbell, their linebacker they got in the first round. I really like Makuba. They had some great not only stories coming out of camp, but also some great preseason plays in the limited time they did play. So I'm excited for those two additions. Sidney Brown, I've always liked. I like an aggressive safety, and if he can just play in the box and blow some run plays up or cause some hit stick fumbles using Madden terminology, I would be excited for that. So, Commanders, I think just based on what they did last year, I'm not high on the Commanders. I think they take a step back. 12-5 is crazy when you look at the season they had last year. I don't think they reached those heights, but I could still see them being a 10-win team and getting into the playoffs. So Commanders, I think we got to keep there. They were already there. I think they stay there. Next up, Cowboys, Giants. No, no. Again, Cowboys, everything I said about the Dolphins, just substitute for Cowboys because Cowboys and Dolphins fans are the AFC and NFC versions of each other. I did not realize those fan bases were A, as delusional, and B, as into the like nobody believes in us. Wait till you see us in the Super Bowl. And it's just like, okay, buddy. Okay. Again, I could be wrong on many things. Those things I do not think I'm wrong. So here we go. Next up, NFC West. A lot of talk about the 49ers. I'm starting to hear some and read some things online where it's like, uh-oh, watch out for the Cardinals. Or, they got a lot of pieces on defense. Their offense, I don't trust Kyler Murray at all. Again, I think Cardinals could easily be 5-3 to start their season and then just fall off a cliff like it feels like they always do. So I think the Cardinals are going to be one of those teams, like kind of like the Saints last year, where it's like start really hot, everybody starts believing in them, and then they just fall off a cliff. So Cardinals, no. Seahawks again. Every team in this division, I've heard different football personalities and read different things online of people making the case for literally every team in this division. And Rams won this division last year 10-7, tied with the Seahawks 10-7, but they obviously didn't win their division, didn't get a wild card spot because of how good the NFC North was. So Seahawks, the Seahawks discourse is basically, do you believe in Sam Darnold? If you think Sam Darnold that we saw last year is Sam Darnold, then he's going to that team's going to be just as good as they were last year, maybe better, right? So because Sam Darnold last year was better than Geno Smith last year. So this is an 11-12 win team if you think the Seahawks, if you believe in Sam Darnold. Do I believe in Sam Darnold? I'm 50-50 on him. If he does it one more year, I'll jump on the Sam Darnold bandwagon, but that playoff game was an indictment kind of on all the Sam Darnold people just being like, "Is that who he is? Is that who he isn't?" I don't know, but it wasn't a good look. I wasn't, excited about seeing Sam Darnold kind of, implode in that one playoff game, but I don't know. I don't know. I just don't I just don't have the same faith as the Seahawks, Cardinals, really even the 49ers fans. Like, 49ers, we talked about how the Dolphins lost a lot of people on defense. The 49ers defense was absolutely gutted. And I like Robert Saleh as a coach. He's a good defensive coach, but also no matter how good of a coordinator it is, you still need the players to execute at the level you need them to execute at. Like the Jets defense under Saleh was great because they had legit great defense, like defensive players. The offense for the New York Jets was the issue when Saleh was there. The defense was never an issue because, again, they had guys. This 49ers team, all their guys feel like they left. And now offensively, I think they're going to be fine, but they to me feel like this year's Bengals, where it's like they're going to have to outscore everybody. And I like Purdy. I don't think he's near the level of Joe Burrow. So I drafted Christian McCaffrey because I was the seventh pick in the draft and he was just sitting right there staring at me. So hopefully he stays healthy and has a bounce back season to levels that can, lead me to a championship. But 49ers, again, I think they're going to score a lot of points. I think they're going to get a lot of points scored against them. I mean, last year they had 436 points against them scored. So I don't know. I just don't trust that defense. Cardinals, I don't trust their offense. 49ers, I don't trust their defense. Seahawks, I don't trust Sam Darnold. So with the Rams, it really comes down to, can Matthew Stafford stay healthy? Their defense, again, you think it was better than it was last year. Their defense was not good. In the playoffs, they were okay. But again, the thing that gets left out in that whole Eagles Rams playoff game is the snow kind of messed up the Eagles more than the Rams, which made no sense considering that the Eagles play in Philadelphia and the Rams play in LA. But the Rams kind of only started gaining momentum once it was snowing pretty hard. So I think again before that, it felt like another Rams Eagles game where the Eagles are just going to blow the doors off them, and then that snow really kind of even the playing field, and then that's why that game ended up being so close. So I think we're being fed a lot of revisionist history with this Rams team from last year. Now there's already training camp things coming out about how Matt Stafford has lingering injuries. Oh, but he's practicing. Oh, but he's not doing it as much as he should be doing. He's old. He's been injury prone in the past a little bit, I guess. But again, this is what happened with Rodgers, right? Where it's just like injury bug just catch up to you when you start getting older. Matthew Stafford's older than me and he plays a professional sport. I'm hanging on by a thread over here. So, and I'm not a professional athlete, obviously. But I don't think I can put anybody in the NFC West as a legit Super Bowl contender. Now I know I'm going to get a lot of shit for that Rams take, but again, I just think so many things on this Rams team have just been overblown by that one game against the Eagles that we fail to look at the totalitarian, that's not the right word, that we forget to look at the total sum of its parts with what the Rams season was last year, which is, if Stafford goes down, you're going to trust Stenson Bennett, you're going to trust what, it's Garoppolo, right? You're going to trust Garoppolo, another injury prone quarterback. Like, no. I like Sean McVay, but this just doesn't feel like the Rams team this year that does it. Now, here's going to be, if that wasn't controversial enough, let's get to the NFC North, because the NFC North, I am adding the Lions just out of respect for what they did last year and for that team. I am putting them out of the main circle in the middle and one of the little circles up on the outside. So I think the Lions will take step backs because, as we said, they lost both coordinators. We think that Ben Johnson is the mad evil genius that made this whole thing work. If you do, then you think the Lions are going to falter. That being said, let's just jump right to the Browns because of that Browns, the Bears, right? Because of that connection. They were 5-12 last year. Even if they're a playoff team this year, there's no way that team takes the leap from going 5-12 to all of a sudden they're 12-5 and a legit Super Bowl contender. They're not in the Super Bowl bubble for me or the outside, even though I think the Bears will be better and be fighting for a playoff spot. Packers and Vikings. Packers were there, they're staying there. The more I look and read about the Packers, for some reason, the more I like them. I think they are going to the most slept on NFC team. I just think they're one of the youngest teams in the league. Their offense is good, their defense is good, their head coach is good. That's pretty much all you need, right? Good to great on pretty much all fronts. I like Josh Jacobs. Matthew Golden might be finally the number one wide receiver that Packers fans have been clamoring for. So, Packers, I'm putting in. Vikings. This is the most interesting team of the entire debate because 14-3 last year. Do you think it's easy to replicate? What is it? Do you think it's easy to replicate what the Vikings did last season? If you do, obviously they're in. They were a 14-win team last year. If you don't have faith in JJ McCarthy, then they're out, right? They're out. So I think I think I have faith. I think this what is it? Vikings team, their downfall is already being predicted to a point where it's like, did you guys watch last season? Like it was not just only Sam Darnold. This team has a squad. Like the Vikings, again, as an Eagles fan, the Vikings have taken us to our first Super Bowl. So I'll always have a soft spot for that Vikings team. And them doing it the way they did against the Saints, I really do feel like took all the pressure off the Eagles that season because nobody was talking about the Eagles after that game. Because they had that bad game against Atlanta. Every single media coverage of the playoffs that weekend was talking about the Viking Saints. So I think I'm riding with the Vikings. I think NFC North, I think there's a little bit of a fall off. I don't think there's that big of a fall off where all of a sudden now the three really good teams from last year are all just basement dwellers, no Super Bowl chance. I could see the Lions going to the Super Bowl. I could see the Vikings. I could see the Packers. One of those teams might be shocking. I am putting in the big circle. So I'm putting them in the big circle, and we'll reveal that in a second. Finally, NFC South. Let's just get it right off the rip. Saints, Panthers, Falcons. No. Falcons kind of joined that category of Cowboys, Dolphins without the passionate fan base who are arguing with us in the comments of our videos. But Falcons to me are the most overhyped team going into this year. We just did the NFC South. Yes, their offensive line is going to be good. I don't know if Michael Penix is going to be good. I don't know what to make of their defense. I don't know what to make of their coach. Like, I don't know what to make of this team. I like Raheem Morris, but you know, 8-9 kind of seems like the ceiling for this Falcons team, unless all of a sudden Michael Penix is just this diamond in the rough and just comes out guns a-blazing. And then, to no shock of anybody who did listen to our last episode, I'm putting the Bucks on this list because I think legitimately now, the one thing Casino and I talked about this today that we did not mention on last episode, which is a testament to how much stuff we were talking and we still left this out. Uh, the Buccaneers did lose their offensive coordinator. Obviously, the Duval he is now the Jaguars head coach, and nobody scored more than the Bucks did last year outside of four other teams. So they were the fifth highest scoring offense last year. And who is their offensive coordinator is the real question. Again, with how many things I've read off my head, I'm allowed one Google search. So it is John Grizzard. He was promoted from his previous role as game coordinator. So Josh Grizzard, great name. Uh, as February, Bucks believe new offensive coordinator Grizzard, great name, is an offensive wizard. So I don't know. Again, I like when the teams are very confident. It's come back to bite, especially my team, the Eagles in the past, but I think I'm still going to put the Bucks. I just like the Buccaneers. I like their offense. I like Big Show. I like just everything they're about. As an Eagles fan, again, you look at all these teams on this list, they're the only team that scares me in the playoffs, where it's if we're going into the playoffs and we got to play the Commanders, the Packers, or the Buccaneers, and it basically I get to choose which one to go to the Super Bowl. I'm picking Commanders, Packers, any other team in the NFC but the Buccaneers. So out of respect to the Buccaneers and out of my respect for my fear of them, I feel like I have to put them in. So going into this season right now, and we're about to, as it downloads, we're about to unveil the newest Super Bowl bubble. I have three teams from the NFC in the big bubble in the middle, three teams from the AFC in the big bubble from the middle, three teams from the NFC on the outside, three teams from the AFC on the outside. I did not plan that. That's just kind of how it worked out. I will get Casino's opinion of this tomorrow, but right now, let's reveal the Super Bowl bubble. Obviously, oops. Let's reveal the Super Bowl bubble right now. And it is, there it is. There's the first Super Bowl bubble of the year. We have the Lions, the Commanders, the Broncos, the Vikings, the Steelers, the Chargers on the outside in the little bubbles trying to get into the big one. That means couple things go their way here or there. Yes, we could see them in the playoffs, make a great run, get to the Super Bowl. The three in the middle from the NFC I have Packers. I told you, I'm so high on the Packers this year. I don't know why, but I just think, again, with what they did last year, if Jordan Love is going to be the next great Green Bay quarterback, like their defense is legit, the running back game is legit. I like their offense. If Love takes the next level, there you go. Packers, Bucks, based on what they did last year, they're the last team outside of the 49ers and Eagles to be in the Super Bowl with Brady. So we've seen the Bucks, I feel like, always be a contender. Even when Brady left, they just added Baker, and then they've just kind of didn't lose really any momentum or steam. So could see the Buccaneers. Obviously, Eagles, I think, do repeat. And then the three mainstays in the AFC, obviously the Ravens, the Chiefs, and Bills. Now, the two teams in the AFC that you can make a case for Texans, Bengals, I know, sorry. And then obviously in the NFC, people are going to say the Lions should be in the spot where the Packers are, but I just like continuity. So the continuity with the Packers is greater than the Lions. And now, I will not be doing a Super Bowl bubble uh every week because again, I feel like there won't be enough movement to make drastic changes. So, I will be doing it every 5 weeks. A month felt like too much. 5 weeks feels like the perfect combination. That means week 5 after week 5, so technically going into week 6, we will see the second edition of the Super Bowl bubble. Then obviously after week so you know what, let's just do week 6, week 12 right before the playoffs start. So we'll do 4 this season. This one before the season starts, week 6, week 12, and then at the start of the playoffs. So there is your official 2025 first Super Bowl bubble. And again, I was like, when I did this, I was like, oh, I'm going to go like 20, 25 minutes. I can squeeze that out. We're about to go 45 minutes. So this has been the Only Sports Podcast, the first official Super Bowl bubble. Let me know what you think down below, where I was right, where I was wrong. And again, I will be right or wrong about some of these or most of them. Who cares? Everybody's wrong about everything. It's just fun. Let's talk about it. I'm Will. That's not Casino. Me and Casino will be back tomorrow. I'll show him the first official Super Bowl bubble and get his thoughts on it. Yeah, we'll talk about the NFC or AFC South. Adios.